What happens when you get everything you wanted and it becomes your prison? Ask any Gen Z fashion lover who the best dressed man on the planet is, and they'll overwhelmingly say one name: Wisdom Kaye. The 24-year-old Nigerian-born Texan exploded during the pandemic, captivating millions on TikTok with his fearless outfit choices and genius ability to blend his high fashion with streetwear. But here's what made him different from every other fashion influencer. Gone were the days of stoic, untouchable runway models with their holier-than-thou attitudes. Wisdom brought warmth, authenticity, and genuine joy to fashion content. This combination of incredible style and magnetic personality created the kind of intense fan connection that most creators only dream of. But there's a side to this level of fame that almost nobody talks about. Maybe they're afraid of seeming ungrateful or worried about alienating the very fans who made them successful. A few months ago, I stumbled across something that stopped me cold. An 8-minute video from Wisdom, completely raw and unfiltered, talking about how his fame had grown so massive that he was now drowning in anxiety. How he couldn't leave his house without becoming an instant spectacle. How he'd lost the simple freedom of being anonymous in public, potentially forever. That video has become one of my favorite pieces of content this year. And today I want to deep dive into what it reveals about the hidden cost of getting everything that everybody on social media who's posting content thinks they want. John Maloney, as a man who's desperately reaching for fame at every turn, what does that make you think? You must think, what an ungrateful little P of S Wisdom Kaye must be. He's got everything he wanted, and now he's complaining about it. That's what you said to me when I said, I'd love to do this episode.
Yeah. You said you can play the straight man who starts with the default position of this guy just needs to get a grip and start enjoying life, because all the examples that you gave me, like, but what if everyone looked at you? But what if you got packed? I was like, yeah. That's why I'm doing the podcast.
That's true. I keep sending you that this week. I keep sending John because I knew that this was going to be the theme of the episode. And so I've been walking through Berlin asking myself, what if I was like insanely famous like Wisdom Kaye? Because I went to a restaurant last night, for example, and I went alone, and I was fucking loving it because I've been very busy lately, and just that has meant dealing with a lot of people. Yeah. And yesterday was like the first time, and just felt like the longest time. I just was like, I've done all my things. I went to a restaurant that I really liked, totally alone. I sat there eating my noodles, and nobody gave a fuck about me, and it was absolutely magic. And I was texting you going, what if I was Wisdom Kaye right now and everybody in this fucking restaurant was staring at me, and people kept coming up and touching me and whispering and saying, that's Alexander Holland. And you were just like, that's the best life I've ever thought of.
That's all I've ever wanted. No, it would be very weird. I mean, it's an interesting thing in his case because, like, that, you know, there's obviously more to it than, I don't know, Tom Cruise being a celebrity of a kind of more old school kind, particularly because of the rapidity of what I understand to be his rise to fame, which is kind of like different from a film star who sort of might acquire fame pretty quickly, but might also take a few years to really break through. And also, you know, you're kind of in this position of being a influencer who, as you alluded to in the intro, is very, you know, accessible and warm in their presentation.
Yes.
And I watched his videos and I was kind of like, you know, I was kind of watching critically to get a bit of a sense of what his perspective was. And he's very likable and very kind of seemingly down to earth. But I think that obviously breeds a sense, you know, if you saw Tom Cruise or Joaquin Phoenix or I don't know, whoever, Meryl Streep, you wouldn't go,
especially Joaquin.
Exactly.
Joaquin. There's something about Joaquin and I'm like, fuck, I'm not going near him.
No, he'll punch you in the mouth. Just say, love your work, Joaquin, and he'd just punch you in the face. But you can't, people do obviously have this sense of, you know, parasocial intimacy with this person that obviously drives a particular kind of unsettling interaction, I think. But So that's an interesting dimension.
I can just quickly, for anybody who's not familiar with him, I was not familiar with him until, I'm going to say, 2 months ago, 2 or 3 months ago, I saw a different TikTok video of a guy who was dressed well, and people in, maybe it was somebody in the video, and they were pointing out another, I think they were pointing out a very well-dressed celebrity, and they were saying, oh, isn't Harry Styles, the best dressed man right now, or something like that. And I went down to the comments, and the comments were just flooded with Wisdom Kaye is the best dressed man on the world in the world. What the fuck are you talking about? You don't know what you're talking about. The best dressed man in the world is Wisdom Kaye. I had no idea who this was. I think I very briefly Googled him just to see what is he wearing, and it came up with like this tall, beautiful black man who was wearing these incredible outfits. I must have looked at it for like 3 seconds, didn't really pay much mind to it, and was like, okay, cool, that's who that guy is, and totally forgot about it. Then I reckon, a month or so later, this video popped. Maybe I got served this because I had TikToked him and it knew that I was looking for his content. I got served this video of this guy who I didn't recognize. It's a total raw phone video, and he's sitting down and he's wearing a blue hoodie. I checked the likes and comments, and it had a lot of engagement. So I was like, oh, this is an interesting video, because obviously it's doing quite well. I have still no idea who this was. And suddenly this is just this guy who just starts talking about how he can't do anything anymore because he's too famous. And it's funny, my initial gut reaction was that thing that I think this is one of the reasons why he was hesitant to post it, is because, I mean, fuck me, you would want to be pretty sure that you were insanely famous before you made a video saying, I can't live my life anymore because I'm so insanely famous. Like, that's just putting a target on your back for people.
It's true.
And of course, a lot of people who didn't know who he was jumped in the comments and were like, fuck you, dickhead, I have no idea who you are. So you actually don't need to worry about this. They were a bunch of the comments. But just for anybody who doesn't know who it is, so Wisdom Kaye, he's a Nigerian American model and social media influencer. He came to the US from Nigeria with his family when he was 4 years old. They moved to Texas. During the pandemic, he started, I think on the advice of some friends of his, he started posting his outfits on TikTok because his friends, he was already experimenting and was interested in fashion. There was a thrift shop near the university they went to. He used to go and buy interesting items from the thrift shop, and then build these outfits with these items that he'd bought. And his friends would go out with him and be like, dude, you look fucking amazing. You need to start posting these on TikTok. So he started doing it, and he just started blowing up. He posted one video that was on a little bit of a trend, which was when, I think this is 2020, when that song Savage, I'm a Savage, was blowing up.
Studying electrical engineering, I read.
Correct.
At Texas State University, and then dropped out when he became a famous man.
That's right.
Which is what I hope to do.
That'd be great. Well, I mean, it's funny. I'm sure we'll come back to this, but I mean, we have a tiny, tiny presence where nobody knows who we are, but we do put things out into the world. It does kind of make you think, what if something blew up? What if we got what we wanted? John? And that's what this episode's going to be about. So he starts blowing up, posting these videos. People love him. And then he gets signed to this IMG modeling agency. Okay. He continues to post on TikTok and Instagram, and he's huge. He now has 13.8 million followers on TikTok, 7.6 million on Instagram, 3.1 on his second TikTok account, which is the one where he posts his more raw, opinionated content, and that's the account that he posted this particular video on. So, I mean, it's funny. He's been in the news this week for something which I find far less interesting, but everybody else seems to find more interesting, which is that he went and spent $17,000 at a fancy fashion house this week called Miu Miu. Okay. And he got home to do I spent $17,000 at Miu Miu video, and here are how I styled all the pieces. And the video ended up being him complaining that, he'd spent this huge amount of money on what is, supposed to be like luxury items, I guess. I don't know, or at least decent quality items. And two of them just broke immediately and he posted it. And so obviously the company went into overdrive and was like, fuck.
Yeah.
They sent him replacement garments and he's like, I'm just going to film this just in case. He films himself opening the buttons and the same thing happened again. The buttons fall off.
Fuck. Oh, no.
So it's called Mew Mew Gate and that's what's blowing up this week.
Right.
But what I find so more interesting and is this video because you never see people talking about the kind of instant fame that can happen to you through social media. It was like you saying it's the speed at which this happens now and also the kind of ubiquity of the whole thing. Yeah, Tom Cruise, it would have been a slow build, I'm sure. But it's just like, it feels like almost everybody who's like Gen Z knows who Wisdom Kaye is now.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I hope you can hear this, John, and I'll play maybe just the first couple of minutes of the first video and you will just get this really interesting insight into what happens to a normal person who just kind of enjoyed their normal life, but also wanted to express themselves through fashion, of course, wanted to, maybe not do electrical engineering and maybe get to be a fashion person.
Yeah.
But it's like, but this is what people don't think about.
I've been hesitating making this video because honestly, I just don't even know if I should talk about it, but it's just been weighing on me for so long. Like I really have been unable to leave my house in peace or do anything without feeling so tense. Like every time I step foot outside, like I think I'm getting to a point with, social media and fame and being recognized where it's generally so overwhelming that it's starting to scare me. Like I can't do anything normal anymore. And I feel like I should have known this for a while, but I'm just such a regular person at my core that I want to just walk around and do things, especially with my friends. But it's like, I can't do it anymore. Like every time I go out, I'm always seen and I'm always aware that I'm being perceived because I see it. Like people do things where, they look at me, they look at their friend, they look at me and they gasp, they look at me and they their jaw drops or they fucking yell at me from across the street and they whatever. And there's so many things that happen where now I'm just like, it's made me so, I think it just made me so anxious when I go outside. Like, I don't know. It's like, and the thing is that a lot of people lose all sense of boundaries. That's the main one. Like people will grab me and touch me to try to stop me when I'm walking. And it's even tonight I was walking and this one girl was just like, oh my God, obviously I'm walking by and she's like, oh my God, it's Wisdom Kaye. And I'm just like walking with my friends and just, minding my business. And, I hear all that stuff, and she comes up to me and she's like right here, but she grabs me. And out of instinct, the first thing I do is just look at my arm because I was just grabbed. And I think she kind of knew that was a little bit crazy because she immediately was like, oh, sorry. And then just said that I just wanted to say that
Yeah. What do you think about that, John? Like, how does that make you feel?
Sounds great to me. That's what I want. No, I'm just...
You're like, I haven't been touched in years.
Exactly.
I'll take a grab.
Yeah, I'd love to be grabbed. I can understand that. And I think if you're it's weird too, because I guess another thing that differentiates it from sort of traditional establishment stardom is like a lot of the people who, get into Hollywood acting, they really know the path that they're on and they're very intentional about it. And they know I'm going to be on the red carpet, I'm going to be waving at people and signing autographs. And they don't mind that because most of them are massive narcissists. But you can kind of be someone who's not that way and still achieve fame just sort of in your bedroom, styling outfits, because you're not necessarily out there making blockbuster films or on the red carpet, are you? You're just in a room with a camera. And it sounds like he's quite a normal person for whom public exposure is quite, even if it was pretty benign. And I've seen another video where he was talking about a more chill interaction and saying, I've gotten used to that and it's quite nice. But, it doesn't come naturally to him clearly, and he finds it very anxiety inducing. And I guess, I do think, Gen Z knows who you are. But if you went to like, if you went and lived in Yorkshire or something, you'd probably be fine.
He might have to live, if he lived in a Florida retirement community,
Yeah,
he'd be
exactly.
just live amongst like totally red Trump MAGA loving
Yeah, they won't know.
Floridian retirement neighborhood. You would be fine.
Yeah, they wouldn't have a clue. Or go to, like go and live in rural Australia. They'd probably be pretty hard pressed to identify you. But he obviously is kind of, well, I don't know where he lives, but presumably somewhere like not too far from where he's become famous, and so it's impacting his life. But I do think, I guess expecting somebody to kind of actually isolate themselves is expecting a lot. I mean, what's he going to do? He's a 24-year-old man. He's not going to be like, I've got to say goodbye to my friends and go incognito to avoid being harangued by people. And I can totally imagine as well, because like, I don't know to what extent it's a Gen Z thing, but it certainly is a kind of, internet addled young people who don't really know, that, okay, this is real life, different rules apply. I don't actually know this guy as much as I've spent hours watching him. And he's also just a person who has boundaries like any normal person, which seems to be lacking.
I think you're absolutely right, John. I think that is another element to it, is that generation that's grown up with phones and everything is parasocial, everything is, I feel like I have this authentic relationship with this person that pops up on my phone screen every morning. And so they're my friend. And so when I see them, they're going to love that I go and talk to him. Watching his videos actually made me reconsider ever approach. Actually, it's a funny story. I did approach someone with a small amount of fame in a sort of fame, not with a tiny amount of fame. I went to a running event a couple of weeks ago, and one of the running influencers that I really like, whose YouTube channel I follow, was there, and I approached him and said, "Hey, are you so and so from so and so?" And he said, "Yeah, that's me." And I felt like the reason that I made that decision, and we've spoken about this before with reach out confidence, reach out hygiene, where you it's a respectful and healthy way to try and talk to people with a bit of a public profile. And I guess unconsciously what my brain did was, okay, this guy has probably 100,000 YouTube subscribers and is not that famous and is not getting bothered by people all the time. Yeah. So he may appreciate that I've gone to the effort of talking to him, whereas I would not do the same thing if I saw Justin Bieber at a cafe. I absolutely would not approach Justin Bieber.
I like your music, and he'd say, "That's great. That's so nice to hear."
I love you from Selena Gomez, I'd say. I loved Selena Gomez, and I loved you from being with Selena Gomez. I mean, I just would never approach somebody like Justin Bieber. I loved him from being with Hailey Baldwin. I'd say I didn't know who you are. I didn't know who you were, but I started off just as a massive Baldwin Dynasty fan. Baldwin Dynasty stan. If you come to my house, there's just pictures of every Baldwin all over my house. I've got a massive family tree on the wall that's just got Daniel and Alec, Stephen. But you're 100% correct in that generation has grown up with all of these people giving of themselves and being so accessible, and everything is so parasocial that people will think, a lot of people think he would love it. Yeah. Because I would love, because I'm a nobody. Yeah. And I would fucking love it if people came up and said, I love everything. This is this human instinct that we have that, if I made things that people appreciated, imagine how good that would feel, just walking down the street and having people come up to you and telling you you're amazing. Crowd surfing through the world. He's going to love that. Crowd surfing through the world. If I go up to him and you know what? I'm probably one of the only people who does this to him. Yeah, that's what everyone would think too. And, and then there'd be people who are just like,
not really thinking about him and his feelings, just thinking, oh, I want to get a selfie with him for my own clout, my own
Totally.
social media. And all
He
that
talks
sort of
about that
shit.
a lot as well.
Right, yeah.
He talks about a particular experience where he's really angry because he tells a story where he really went out of his way for this girl who it sounds like was actually in the moment being quite rude. He said he posts this. He does the classic trend on TikTok where he goes, "Put a finger down." Do you remember the "put a finger down" trend, John?
Kind of, yeah.
It was kind of like, it's like, if this is
Oh, yeah, I do now. Yeah.
it's like, put a finger down if you've ever, and it's I guess you put fingers down until you realize that you're in this select group of people that's had
Right.
these things. He's kind of playing with the idea, and he says, like, put a finger down if this has ever happened to you. And
Yeah.
then he tells this like wacky story where he says that he was with his friends and somebody who sounds very entitled, some girl, basically pulled him away from his friends and was like, "Can I have a photo with you?" And he was very obliging and said, "This is according to him." He's like, "Sure," because it does sound from all these videos that he makes quite a lot of an effort with people.
Yeah.
And he says that he goes to have a photograph taken with her, and then like her camera doesn't work, or she wants a different camera, and she's just like,
Right.
just stay there. I'm going to get my other camera. And he's literally, his
He's
friends are
like,
waiting for him.
I'm actually doing my own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he said that he ended up just waiting and waiting and waiting for her to get the perfect camera right, or whatever she wanted. Eventually, she captures the moment that she wants, and he's exhausted. And then he just sort of turns and walks with his friends. And she posted the video of him where it looks like he leaves and is kind of angry with her, as if it makes it appear as if she said, "Can I have a picture with you?" And he's like, what? Fine. And then takes it and just storms off. And he posts this video going, "I fucking cannot believe that this woman did this. Like, I left my friends.
That's so
I came and hung out with you."
hurtful. Yeah.
And then all the comments, I think a lot of the comments were like, "Oh, he's being such a prima donna. He doesn't know how lucky he is, and you just wanted a photo, and look, you did all the nice things, and he just stormed off like a prima donna. Fuck this guy." And he's just like, "What is my life?"
Do you think it's also that he's a fashion figure, and maybe people who are like into that world, sometimes they are entitled pricks.
Yeah, totally.
And, it's a bit different from if he was like famous for model train sets, for example. Different.
That'd be so funny if you're just like, "I can't walk down the street anymore
Yeah.
because I'm so famous for model trade sets."
Yeah, but I mean, people have like, it's, you're obviously dealing with some fairly strong personalities. You'd be dealing with people who have their own social media aspirations, that kind of
Clout,
stuff.
yeah. It's all clout. And people want photos with him for clout. People want to go, "I get my photo, I post my photo with Wisdom Kaye, the big fashion guy, and then I'm connected to that world and whatever." Perhaps I can. There's another video that I love where after he posted that video, he posted a follow-up, and he is basically talking about how he has to live his life differently now. And I found this one really interesting as well, because he talks about basically how he can't. I'll just play it. So
I think I might have seen it. It's interesting.
So like, it's never a thing when I go outside. I've been doing this for a few years now. I think it's been increasing. So now I've got to have a plan. I think being outside is cooked. I don't think I can be outside anymore. I just don't think that's a possibility. Like, nothing's more fun to me than just being outside with my friends doing random shit. I put a pimple patch on here. And I just think that I think that's done. I think that part of my life is just gone. I honestly don't think I can ever get that back. So I just have to either be in a car or be in my house. If I'm looking for peace, I think there's some days where I can definitely handle it. I have my days. I have my days where it's chill. The boundary crossing is never not chill. I mean, it's never chill, but it's fine. There's better days than that, that's for sure. But I think as my humanity slowly gets stripped away, I'm just gonna have to deal with a lot of what this lifestyle brings. I guess lifestyle. My lifestyle. I'm home 24 fucking 7. Anyways, yeah, that's what I'm gonna try to do. I think I'm gonna just not go outside. I'm gonna try to be. I don't know what I can do about moments. What can I do about moments like that, though, guys? I need y'all's help. Like in moments where I'm just like walking and somebody's like recording me, and I'm trying to mind my business. What can I do? Do I have to always unmind my business? I feel like it's a bit unfair. Like imagine always having to unmind my business because, mind you, I think he wanted me to stop for something, but like that was not part of my plan for that.
He's in that video, he's also talking about a guy. He just went for a run, and somebody just started following him in their car and filming him.
He said it was like every mile he would sort of see the guy perched in a different spot because he was just like taking a few paps and then driving ahead of where he was running and catching up with him, which is.
We've not even touched on how.
Sinister.
Well, this is the thing. We've not even we've sort of just touched on so far how it would be a little bit, it would be a bit of an imposition for people to talk to you, and it might feel uncomfortable, people staring at you. But we haven't spoken about how unsafe you would feel in certain situations, like the one he's talking about where he goes for a jog and somebody just follows him in a car taking photographs of him who he basically said, I mean, who knows what the difference between like a professional paparazzi and just a normal member of the public is, but it just sounded like a random dude who spotted him. Or potentially like an internet psycho. Yeah, exactly. Just could be anyone. Sat out the front of his house.
Could be somebody who's like sexually obsessed with him. I mean, who the hell knows?
Yeah. And then never spoke to him, but just followed him around and would turn up at every corner. Oh my God. It puts my shoulders up. I think the thing that really struck me with these videos is I was able to kind of put myself in these positions because, we all feel anxious in certain social situations. And, I just have never thought of what it would really, really, really feel like to walk out of my flat, walk to the train station. I don't expect anybody would. There's a few young people in my area, but not a ton. Yeah. But as soon as I got to the platform of the train station, and as soon as I got on, if you're Wisdom Kaye in LA, and as he says in that video, being outside for me, I think is cooked, which is, and then he talks about how he just has to stay home all the time because, and you can see in that last video I played, he's really wrestling with it. Like you can hear him kind of going between I guess it's fine because there's nothing he can do about it. And so he's trying to get himself to a place where it's okay. He's, maybe this is fine. I guess life's just about changes and this is just a big change. But his change is like, I can't go outside anymore. He's sort of facing that reality of I don't enjoy being outside in public anymore.
Yeah, I mean, he could just grow a beard and shut down his social media and go back to electrical engineering.
Well, this is an interesting point because I hadn't thought of this, but you're coming at this from a lot of the angry. You should have been in this comment saying these exact things.
Yeah, just mate, no one put a gun to your head.
Yeah, you chose fruit. You chose wisdom. You chose fruit. You live with fruit.
Yeah, that's right. No, I mean there is obviously that sense that he has brought this on himself. I mean, perhaps not because, you don't you do these things without really thinking through the potential consequences. And even if you thought them through, you would think, well, that's pretty unlikely.
Yes, absolutely.
Or you would think, well, that seems fine. But then when you're in that situation, it's much more kind of unsettling and intrusive than you thought it would be. So I'm very sympathetic to that. And also to the fact that he's, just a young man who wants to live his life. But it does raise that question of what do you do? I mean, you've made a lot of money and I presume, and achieved a lot of success.
Millions. So multi-millionaire now.
There you go.
And this is what a lot of the comments are. Is, well, this is the price you pay for that.
Yeah. Well, and I guess he could be. I mean, like if you're the most famous actor in the world, again, to kind of use a Tom Cruise example, you sort of can't, like Tom Cruise couldn't go undercover and I don't know, go back to university without a lot of difficulty. He kind of had to go into witness protection and get some facial reconstruction done to be unrecognizable. Whereas I think if Wisdom Kaye just kept a low profile for a few years, it would probably blow over. But then he's obviously lost, he's back to kind of, being an electrical engineer in Houston, and probably would think, actually, I quite enjoyed aspects of that, which I had to step away from. So maybe it is a question of like, for someone like him, having your cake and eating it too,
Yes, exactly.
Dealing with the kind of massive trade-off. And because I don't know, like, what can he do except that, really? If he really wants to change if he really finds these experiences kind of intolerable, then it's like, well, you've just got to exit stage, I guess, and hope that people lose interest in you, which they probably will pretty quickly.
Absolutely.
And all of your Gen Z fans have goldfish memories. So if you just delete your account for 2 days, they'll just be like, oh, duh, who's that?
This is a tip. Look, Wisdom, if you've stumbled across this video, because I think this is going to be the only video on YouTube, the only deep dive where people address his fame, his how I'm dealing with fame TikToks. So I think there's a good chance that Wisdom's going to come across our video, and I think the advice is, Wiz, love your work, by the way. He absolutely is the best dressed man on earth. His content, the videos are so beautifully produced. And
really,
again, I'm trying to not make this a very visual episode because we have most of our audience are listeners.
Yeah.
But look, do yourself a favor and get over to his Instagram and TikTok accounts, particularly the one he posted recently about styling outfits from like the beginning of time is quite incredible. So he's wearing like Roman clothes, and then he's wearing like Egyptian outfits and shit. It's great, and it's really beautifully produced.
And he is kind of a rare figure, as you say, because he's not your kind of stone-faced, sort of bulimic looking oddball who's like won't
Naomi Campbell, Kate Moss.
Exactly. He's quite warm. He's quite like somebody you can imagine just chatting to at a house party and having like a normal conversation with. And he seems like quite a normal person and quite a, like reasonably smart person, and kind of interesting potentially. So he is offering something different.
We are extending, John and Al are extending Wisdom. We're extending to you the Don't Praise the Machine. We want to be friends with your invite, which is a new part of the show where we find people. And we want to be friends with them.
It's exactly what he's saying he doesn't want. We just want to touch your shoulder, please.
We just want a photo with you outside of a bar in Los Angeles against the wall.
We'll give you a complimentary Don't Praise the Machine t-shirt. There's only a select
that you can style.
That you can style. Man, that'd be good.
Man, imagine
what a collab. Wisdom Kaye and DPTM.
I was going to say my favorite designer right now is John Maloney and his Canva t-shirt designs.
Yeah, exactly. I love the fabrics that he's chosen from Fitzroy Dust Automat, Dust T-shirt Automat. So one thing that it made me think of was, well, a couple of things. One is like, is this going to happen? Like, could this happen anywhere other than the United States to the same extent?
Good question.
But also, we were thinking a few weeks ago on the podcast when we were both in London, and we'd been to see the Lee Bowery exhibition about Lee Bowery, who was just a recap for anyone who hasn't heard that episode. He was
because that was a after dark, so that was just for members.
Just for members, but we were talking about our experience of going to that exhibition and our impressions of Lee Bowery, who was this fascinating guy who came from a fairly working class suburb in Melbourne in the early 80s, I think, and went from there to London, where he started kind of dressing in these outlandish outfits, made a name for himself by putting together outfits himself, and then going and parading around various kind of underground clubs and gay clubs and so on in London in the 80s. And we were kind of saying, what would, because he was such a sort of subversive, interesting figure who you would be quite amazed to see out and about in those days if you knew who he was. But we were saying, what would that look like now? Could a Lee Bowery type figure even exist? And I guess Wisdom Kaye is sort of proof that he couldn't really, because the alternative now would be what Lee Bowery probably would have done if he was 24 years old in 2025, which is started a social media account or several accounts and model these outfits online. And then he would suddenly have an audience, not of a kind of select few hundreds or thousands of people in London and other places, but would have, millions of people who knew who he was and would be constantly kind of tracking his movements and trying to meet him and touching him and taking photographs of him and whatever, which is just very different. It changes the trajectory of your career in a weird way too, because like somebody like Lee Bowery could just be pretty subversive and pretty underground and kind of do his own thing for however long he wanted. Whereas Wisdom Kaye, whether he likes it or not, has gone from just sort of doing these things in his bedroom to suddenly having all of this pressure.
Yeah, I think Lee Bowery is quite a good comparison, John, because if Lee Bowery was around today, he would be having, I think, maybe not to the exact same extent, but he would be having a very Wisdom Kaye experience, I expect. He would be leaving his house and everybody would know who the fuck he was. But in London, nobody would have known who the fuck he was. In fact,
no.
I mean, he also wore such bizarre outfits that often disguised actually his face.
Yeah.
That there's only a few photographs in that exhibition at the Tate that we saw where he is as himself. And you get to like the 10th room of the exhibition and you're like, who the fuck's that? And you're like, oh, that's who we've been watching for the last 10 rooms because he's just as himself and he's this sort of like portly, slightly balding guy in his like late 30s.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And the rest of the time he's got like his face taped or some weird eye makeup on or like, a mask on. But he did things like, he was saying, which I loved, that he would deliberately make himself look like the kind of person that you would cross the road to avoid because he was the sort of local weirdo.
Fucking weirdo.
And there was one incident where he just kind of started like an impromptu performance in the middle of an intersection in London or something. It was he was in one of his crazy outfits and he just started sort of, kind of gallivanting around and stopping traffic. And eventually the cop showed up and he got taken away. But like,
that would be on a mobile phone.
Exactly.
Today.
Yeah. I mean, that was such a weird piece of performance art precisely because people were just rocking up and going and kind of getting this, must have been this like weird feeling in the pit of their stomach, like what is happening here? This guy's got like a taped up face and he's dancing around in an intersection and I have no idea who he is. But now people would be like, oh my God, it's a Lee Bowery event. I'll get my camera out.
Yeah.
And everyone in my social media cohort is going to know that I saw one of Lee Bowery's famous impromptu performances, and it's like a totally different mentality.
And then somebody in Japan sees it, and then it gets spread all throughout. And then Lee just goes to Japan for a bit of a chill, and everybody fucking knows who he is. This is the other thing: is that Lee Bowery was his fame was mostly isolated, from what I understand, to London, because that's just where he existed.
Yeah.
Whereas like now you do something, and it's literally in the pocket of a kid in Uzbekistan the next morning. And you're just like, but I'm just in Wagga Wagga, Australia. And so suddenly you're just everywhere. And I want to say, Wisdom, we want to be friends with you. I'm sending that out. No, I was going to give him, we have to wrap up, but I got advice for Wiz, because it's interesting, John, that you say if he really wanted to, he could disappear. He just doesn't get to be a famous fashion person anymore, so he's got to make a decision. Here's my thing. Wiz, if you have had enough, if it's too much that you can't go outside anymore, I'm going to give you some very boring parental advice. You've got millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Dump it all into an ETF right now that tracks the S&P 500. You're probably going to make 7% on that on average over the lifetime. You could right now dump your money into some very, very safe investment vehicle like the S&P 500. You're going to be making 7%. If you got millions of dollars, your passive income per month just sitting back. Buy some property, right? Buy some property with that money. You just need to like get that pass up.
Yeah.
Just pump that pass.
Pump that
Wiz.
pass.
And you never have to
Wisdom
today.
Case fire plan.
Wisdom Case fire plan. Wiz, you can retire right now, delete all your social media. You'd be raking in thousands in pass each month. And so you don't ever have to work again, and you don't have to be famous. You can, and don't worry about the kids that say Wiz fell off. Grow yourself a beard, move to a Floridian retirement community, live off that pass. And life's gonna be pretty sweet for Wisdom Kaye.
We spend the last 20 minutes explaining debt recycling. So what are you going to do? What you want to do is turn your non-deductible debt, Wiz, into deductible debt.
You want to, once you've watched this Don't Praise the Machine episode, the first thing you're going to want to do is call up your accountant, and you want to get a team of financial advisors together.
Yeah.
You really, when you say to them, boys and girls, how are we going to pump that pass? How are we going to pump that pass? John, speaking of fashion, I have to run because it's the Berlin Marathon this weekend, and fashion, a New Balance fashion influencer, unlikely New Balance health fashion influencer. Who would have thought that a few years ago when he was shoveling food into his face on Vice? Action Bronson is now leading my run. He's lost a bunch of kilograms. Yeah. And so I'm going on a shakeout run for the Berlin Marathon with Alexander Holland, personal sponsor, New Balance. Yeah. Me and Action Bronson are sponsored by New Balance, and I'm going to have Action. What's happened in my life where I'm having a little morning run hosted by Action Bronson? I'm gonna be following behind Action Bronson this morning.
How many people are going to be there? Is it just you?
Thousands. I don't know. How, like hundreds probably. Just me and Action. It's just me and Action going for a run together.
I call him Ketosis Bronson now. Because he lost all those Ks.
Baklava Keto Bronson. He makes baklava out of cabbage now, so he can remain in that. Exactly. So he can remain in those ketones. Hey, you know what I say, Action? I say keep spitting bars and keep those ketones flowing. Exactly. Keep the rhymes flowing. Keep the ketones.
Baklava, zucchini baklava.
Keep the flow flowing and keep the ketones flowing. John, we can't wait to hear from best friend of the show, Wisdom Kaye. Write us in, guys. Let us know what you think of Wisdom. If you haven't checked him out, check him out. He's a cool man. Don't bother him if you see him out in the street. For God's sake, if you take one thing away, leave Wisdom. Leave Wisdom alone. And we can't wait to hear from you. Everything. If anybody emailed us over the last few weeks, we've had a couple of email problems. I sorted them. It only took me 3 hours. I want to say thank you, Namecheap. Thank you, Cloudflare. Thank you, Google Gemini. We've got it up and running. John gets the emails. I get the emails. It's hello@dptm.org. And if you want to catch up, if you want to access to the episodes one day early, a bunch of other member bonuses, plus the monthly bonus episode that's just for Patreons, DPTM After Dark, which is where we spoke at length about Lee Bowery last month. You can go to you can look up DPTM Patreon. It's patreon.com/DPTM, I think, or you can just Google Patreon, DPTM. John,
Patreon, that'll do it.
Will you take us out?
Plan.
And choose. Right. There's 3 tiers. Yeah, can you do that again?
Yeah, there's 3 tiers available. Each of them has different benefits. I was going to say pros and cons, but there's not really any cons involved. They've all got different they've all got different pros.
The cost is the con.
Exactly. Different rights and obligations, because we expect a bit from you as well. No, they've all got a variety of different benefits, and you've just got to pick the tier that's right for you and your family.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, everybody, and we can't wait to see you next week.
The podcast.